Hello precious people, how are you? Happy Friday. Hope you are all really well. Not sure what the weather's like where you are, whether it's in different parts of the UK or different parts of the world, but we're coming live today from a very beautiful, sunny, wintry day from Alfriston in the heart of the South Downs. It's a really beautiful day, and we're really looking forward to sharing this episode of Domain TV with you. So, yes, so obviously last week we had the wonderful Louise Green on, who is one of our precious domain leaders. We did some connecting in last week as well. And what we're wanting to do with Domain TV moving forwards is keep kind of expanding what we're doing. We've got next Friday the wonderful Emily coming on, who's one of our domain leaders as well. And just keep sharing the love for domain, because that's the reason that I wrote this book, Our World, What Comes Next. Because for me personally, I can't imagine my life without domain now. And if you think about it, for those of you that have read the book or have heard me talking on these Domain TV episodes, there is so much it can do. And that's part of the wonder of it, the freedom that it gives us, those endless possibilities to expand our energy further in a way that really fulfills us. So there's so many things that domain can do, and actually it's about that big domain circle of love back. So as we've spoken about so frequently, it's like when you connect to domain in the right way and you're using it, you get that big kind of domain circle of love back. You feel that uplift. It elevates your living. That's how it feels. And just being able to know that it's there, to be able to consciously work with it and have access to it, is just such an enlightening thing. And it's just so enhancing for our everyday. And this is why we want to keep talking about this book, sharing about this book, because all of my energy has gone into this book. All of my love for domain, even now I'm being told more and more love for this book is being pumped into this book the more it gets read by people around the world. And so we wanted to talk actually a little bit about how this book was created today. So obviously you guys know that we have been doing the book read-alongs over the last few weeks on a Wednesday. And this Wednesday just gone, we completed the book up until the workbook section. And so what we would love to do on the upcoming Domain TV episodes is start working through, I say working, that sounds a bit heavy and it's not, it's really wonderful. Start discovering and exploring the workbook section at the back of this book and exploring some of the energetic exercises together, and we can help you with this. We can answer any questions that you have, but to really start exploring that together, because domain is here to be used and domain is here to be experienced. Hi Fee darling. Mwah. And so what I find with domain personally, which is why I want to talk about how I wrote this book today, is that it's never a chore. It's never like I must sit down and receive from domain, but actually it just delights. And you've heard me say this so much, delight in domain. It just delights. So it might be that I have a deliberate sit down with it and receive from it, like I did yesterday. And I'm going to be talking about that a bit later as well, because it's flipping beautiful. But also just in my day-to-day living, you know, I was out walking Belle, my precious spiritual companion, yesterday. It is like raining, it's cloudy, it's misty. I'm up in the South Downs and you can't really see the views because there's rain and mist everywhere. But yet it was so exhilarating and fulfilling because I was flowing in domain energetics. And this really ties into the chapters of the book where we talk about seeing Sali and domain take-ons as well, where you're taking on these incredible energy flows from domain. And so, you know, bear in mind I've been working with domain for quite a while now. You guys will find as you're working with domain, this becomes more and more commonplace for you as well. For some of you, this will kind of become really commonplace quite quickly. For some of you, it just takes a bit of time just to get into the flows of it. But I cannot imagine not having domain in my life now. If it had to be taken away, I would feel like a big chunk of me, half of me is missing, because it just opens up so much for me personally. And so when I wrote this book, it's just sharing my experiences, and it could move me to tears of love, because even in the start of this book, we've literally said, I'm being guided to read that for you now. I actually can't remember what I've written, so I'm going with it. I'm going to share it. Bear with me. Yes, so what you are about to read, so this is at the beginning, okay. What you are about to read are some of my most revelation-filled experiences with Domain to date. They are my own understandings and record keeping. I hope they too inspire you to start your own journey of exploration with Domain. Much love, Sarah. And so this book was very much my own experiences throughout many months whilst I was working with the precious Domain leaders, and we were exploring and voyaging Domain together and just seeing the possibilities there, just scratching the surface really. And it wasn't kind of written in like a formulaic way. So it wasn't like I was like, right, I need to write this section and then I need to write this section. It wasn't like that. It was very much kind of like live note-taking and record keeping of my experiences. And it was only really kind of, I would experience things and then write them up and kind of talk about what I had experienced. For those of you that have read this book, you will know that it's just me explaining my experiences and what I've come to understand. But I would experience something, often unexpectedly, so I wouldn't sit down. This is what I didn't do. I never sat down with Domain and was like, right, what am I going to write next? It was just Domain would flow me things. I would have these wonderful experiences with it, and then I wanted to write it down and capture it. And then over time, that kind of shaped itself into the sections of the book. So we've got obviously the fundamentals as the first section, unearthing secrets as the second section, Domain in your day-to-day as the third section, further spectacular as the fourth, believe in magic as the fifth, and then start to do as the sixth. And then beyond that, the beginners workbook, because I really wanted to create that workbook space there, because this book is designed to get you off the ground with Domain, to consciously start engaging with it and interacting with it, and to start a beautiful lifetime in energetic partnership with it. Now, I'm just kind of being guided to say that doesn't mean that I'm reliant on Domain. So when I say if Domain wasn't in my life, I'd feel a big part of me is missing. It's not that I need it in a way that I'm reliant on it. It's just, it enhances so much for me personally. And that could be from something simple like walking the dog, to getting fascinating sequencing and insight around new energies. I'm going to be talking about whyt energy today, which came through a couple of days ago, and I was doing some stuff with Domain with someone. It was beautiful. And it could be, you know, sometimes, as you know, you would have heard me speak about, or you may have experienced yourself when you're transversing Myriad that works with Domain, you could be given incredible insight around our multiverses, or around our Earth, or even backwards in time. So it just brings so many different flows of good energy, basically. And so that's why I wanted to write this book. And I am being asked to share. A few years ago, I was going to write this and it felt overwhelming. And actually, I've written about that in the preface of this book. It wasn't the right time. I had to get to a place where I understood Domain, like thoroughly, I would say. And of course, there's always more to learn, but I had to understand it enough to write about it. And I really wanted to take the time to tend to learning about Domain and exploring it, and to just explore it. That's literally what it was like. When I was writing this book, it was in this beautiful place in Alfriston, just snuggled away in this office, which is so snuggly. And it was just like this delicious few months of just exploring and voyaging Domain alongside the Domain leaders also. And so it really is just a sharing of my experiences. It's kind of nothing fancier beyond that, but it's so pure in that. It's such pure energy. And such pure sharing with love, and not in a way to sort of say to people, you must find out about Domain and you must do that, this, that and the other. It's very much just sharing, and those that want to know more can come and find more. Those that want to work with it can. And also what I keep being shown as well is like, those of you that are already working with it, of course, that's just going to build to this domain circle of love and keep building more and more. And so that's also what I'm going to be talking about today, is just this connection unlike before, because it just keeps building as more and more of us are exploring, because it is just such a loving energy. So behind the scenes, it was very much just kind of things would occur, I would record them, and then I would want to write about them and share them, because I guess my viewpoint is that I don't want to preach about domain. I don't want to enforce domain on people. I just want to share my experiences, and because I love it so much, I want to shout about it from the rooftops. And then there are others out there, including yourselves, but others beyond, that are also going to really love their interactions with it. And it's a lifetime in energetic partnership with it, where it isn't obligatory or obligatory, the correct way of saying it. It's your choice when you go to it and use it, and it's your choice when you allow it in to kind of enhance those experiences, but you've got it there for life, but always with your choice. So it's just for those that are wanting it, helping spark that kind of beautiful, conscious lifetime interaction with it. And of course, we're here to be physical first. We're here on this earth having a physical experience, but when domain can enhance in such a beautiful way and give us such broader perspectives, like broader perspectives about our connection to earth, our connection to animals, our place in and connection to the multiverses, our place in and connection to kind of history and ancient civilizations and that type of thing, because it just widens up your perspective, or our perspective. It just feels so fulfilling. And for those of you that might just be getting started with domain, and you might not be feeling quite this vastness of it yet, you will do over time, because it's an energy that beautifully builds in a gentle, never overwhelming, but in a gentle and perpetual way. So really, behind the scenes, this was nothing kind of super fancy and super glamorous. It was just a real human being loving their experience of domain, wanting to share it, knowing that for me, it could show me things that I had always been interested in. I'd always been interested in our Earth. So geography, I studied geography as a degree, although I knew I wouldn't really use it as a job, but I just knew I loved it, like especially the physical geography side. Geography and our Earth, I always love to travel and explore and see. I love things, I'm just being guided to share what I love. I love things like David Attenborough, or like documentaries about stunning landscapes. I've always been drawn to that. And then what domain does, it shows me more if I want it to. I've always been so fascinated about our universe and multiverses, but again, kind of in a different way to how it's being spoken about out there. For me, it's like, yeah, this is really interesting. I'm sort of feeling this now as I'm talking. For me, it's like, okay, I feel like some of the stuff out there can feel a bit heavy, but actually I felt there was more out there than what we had come to understand. But also I felt there was like a lightness in exploring it in a way that's a bit different. And now that totally makes sense, because obviously I can understand bits and we can understand things about our universe and multiverse through domain. So that would make sense, and some of you may resonate with that also. But then also history. I've always had a real draw to history. So places like Machu Picchu, and this isn't uncommon. Think about the legacy energy that places like Egypt, Machu Picchu, Sigiriya Rock in India, Easter Island, Stonehenge, there's tons of them around the world. And again, it's because I've probably had that draw, and you'll find the same, because we want to know more, and we know we can know more, but domain fulfills that for me. It gives me access to things in history that I wouldn't get from history books. And in fact, I was speaking to someone the other day, and I was like, domain for me is like having this incredible encyclopedia that goes way beyond what a regular encyclopedia can share, but I can access it on tap. So whether I want to be shown things about the multiverse and universe, or the history of anything, or our Earth, it's like domain kind of gives me that access. So it's obviously so much about sequencing at the center, but so much around it is just beauty, 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 beauty. And so that's why I want to share about it, and that's why I want to talk about it. You know, I've always been really drawn to Africa as well. I know in the future I'll be doing things with Africa. Many of you have said, oh my gosh, you're really drawn to Africa also. It's like domain kind of gives us more in these areas that we've been drawn to than what we would be able to access about them without it. And that's what I utterly love, and that is why I wanted to write this book, and that is why I just wanted to share. And so for those of you that are choosing to read the book or interact with me on social media, or, you know, even do work with me through the School of Domain Energetics, however you're using domain, it just totally makes my heart sing, which is a phrase I used to use. Many of you might remember this, but it so truly does. And, you know, we're building this community here. We're building our Pathway to Thrive community as well, because we just want to kind of keep exploring and voyaging domain forever for the rest of our lives, because why would we not? We want to keep having these enhanced experiences for the rest of our lives, because why would we not? So it's utterly, utterly beautiful. So that's just a bit of behind the scenes. It wasn't like I sat down one day and was like, right, I'm going to write all these chapters. It was very free flowing. It was just very much about the experiences as they were happening. Sometimes experiences would happen over a few weeks, and then I'd reflect back and be like, oh, that would be really wonderful to share as well. So it really is just like a collection of record keeping from me throughout my early interactions in delighting with domains. That's a little bit about the behind the scenes of the book. So I'm also just going to quickly check, just in case there's any comments coming through, because I can't see any on my phone. There might not be, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything if there are, so bear with me. Okay, beautiful. So what else do we want to talk about? So in this book, we've also spoken about how domain can share new energies with us. Now, this is fascinating as well. There's, you know, we've spoken about different energies in this book, meta energy. We've spoken about the thermal layer, the mist layer, the isosphere, turbosphere, etc. But there's more wondrous energies out there. And again, this is another facet that domain opens up. And what domain, one of the things that domain can do is kind of gather energies and share them with Earth, but I'm just kind of receiving even live how that's a bit different just from kind of leveraging an energy. It's like it has to kind of work through domain. And we do have, you know, experiences of domain bringing new energy to Earth. So meta energy newly came to Earth through domain a few months ago. Sometimes it's sharing energies with us that have been connected to Earth for a while, but what it can do is bring us new. And we had an experience of this week that we wanted to share. Again, just documenting our experiences, kind of like domain diaries, and sharing our experiences with you. I was on a call with someone, and we were working on some sequencing with a connection to some physical healing for a couple of physical humans. And what we saw, as ever, was really, really beautiful. But one key takeaway for me was whyt energy. So this is really fascinating. And my understanding was, shared through domain, that this came from Multiverse 1. And we are in Multiverse 2. So this is a big thing. And sometimes I forget the sheer enormity of what we're doing here and how groundbreaking it actually is. And so to understand this energy, which was really interesting, if you imagine it in your mind's eye, it's like the colour white, but it's kind of got a see-throughness to it and almost like a UV feel to it. And it's really beautiful. So when we've written about meta energy in this book, which is huge in terms of what it can do for creation and healing, meta feels very potent in a really beautiful way, whereas whyt energy, and it's spelt WHYT, yeah, that is right, I think. I'm trying to remember now. It's much more gentle feeling, but what it does is equally as powerful. Now, again, I'm kind of just sharing this in my own words. I haven't really gone much beyond that, and I haven't sort of been like, right, and I need to figure out all of the details of whyt energy. What I love about domain is, for me, it can be really high level and simple in the way it kind of translates with me, but I can feel the tangibility of what I'm working with. I can feel that energy work. So it feels very tangible. And I think, just speaking from my own experience, as someone that was probably always a bit skeptical of energy in the past, to be able to work with domain and feel the tangibility of energy is really important for me. And that's what I'm hoping that those that come to work with domain in the future will continue to feel as well. But this whyt energy was really beautiful. Again, being shown, I'm being told it again now just to confirm it, being shown and told again, it was the first time this energy was being used on Earth in this way as well. So again, just think about that. Domain can open up all of these possibilities for all of us. This isn't just me. This is just me sharing my experiences. And so this other person that I was doing this session with was also getting things coming through that was new as well, and equally delighting in it. And that's the other thing, you know, as we continue to build the domain community, coming together to explore domain, you know, hopping on a Zoom and exploring domain energetics for something together. It's just so magical and beautiful. Like, for me, it's like I'm just chomping at the bit to do it. And so to discover why energy, again, was just another really, really beautiful moment. And that's just, again, just one highlight of my experiences with domain this week. But another highlight would be, as I've already spoken about, but I do sort of really want to pinpoint it, was yesterday being out and about and that heightened feeling, I can't even find the words to articulate, that I was experiencing. That kind of broader perspective across, I don't know, my life, my experience in that moment. You know, Sali, Earth's consciousness, the Earth, the multiverse. It's like that broader perspective yesterday. You know, I think back about when I used to really enjoy walking, but now it's like that real broader perspective. And I mentioned before as well how one of the domain leaders was saying they used to love to look at the moon, but now it's like this broader perspective. It's like domain gives you this broader perspective. Even if you're not consciously understanding what it is, it's giving you this kind of broad, enriching, enhancing and uplifting in moments like that that will continue to build for you. And remember, we talk about domain being this beautiful, steady movement. So it's gentle, it's progressive, it's not like everything all at once, and it will continue to build for you. So again, you've got two very different examples there of how domain has really brought, I don't know what I've done there, but that's very magical, about domain, how domain has really brought incredible enhancement and experiences to my week this week. Just the example of whyt energy and that example of being out and about yesterday. So it really is just beautiful. So again, this book serves as an introduction to domain. We've covered off so many different aspects of it as entry points for you, but as you too develop your own energies with domain, you may experience new energies coming in, something different from whyt energy, energies that and meta energy, energies that I haven't come to know to understand yet. You too might have experiences where you're doing something and you just really feel that enhancement, that domain's flowing to you. And sometimes it takes a bit of practice just to kind of consciously really allow that in and to notice it, but it keeps building. And what you'll find is that good feeling kind of starts to extend more and more and more. And so again, just some beautiful experiences we wanted to share with you this week. So what else I want to say to you? Oh yeah, what I was also being told was yesterday when I was having that experience when I was out in the Downs, and bearing in mind for a lot of people being out potentially on the South Downs in rain and wind might not be their bag. For me, it just felt really beautiful because of the flowing of domain energetics within that. And I was also told again that really links back to the chapters in this book about truly seeing Sali, which is like a feeling. It's not like literal seeing, it's like that kind of broader feeling. And also about domain take-ons, where domain will flow you energy to enhance the moment for you. And it could be anything. It could be at a party, it could be whilst you're out running, it could be anything. But for me, it was out yesterday when I was walking. So again, just kind of really, again, just giving more examples of things and expanding upon things that we've written about in this precious, precious book. Okay, so what else did we want to talk to you about this week? We are going to probably keep these Domain TV episodes a little bit shorter moving forwards, maybe around half an hour or so. There will be occasions where they're longer, but you know, we're just aware we want to share with you some real kind of concentrated nuggets that feel really good, that kind of elevate you a bit ahead of, you know, the next TV Domain episode the following week. So just some really things for you to feel about, and to think about, but also you may listen to some of what we're saying, and you may want to go back and read certain chapters, and each time you read, I'm being told, Domain will actually give you more. So even I didn't know that consciously, obviously unconsciously, but not consciously. So, you know, feel free to go back and read those chapters every time you're revisiting them and immersing your energy in them. You're going to get more and more and more from the book. Okay, so to kind of bring this episode of Domain TV kind of to its completion today, we wanted to say, as we said at the beginning, that we've done our Domain read-alongs, as in the book. We've done the book read-alongs over the last few Wednesdays, but we haven't done the workbook section. So what we are going to be doing now on future Domain TV episodes is looking at the workbook section. So there's 10 wonderful exercises that we can explore over the coming 10 weeks, if we like, in the Domain Beginners Workbook at the back of the book. So we have an exercise for connecting to Domain, an exercise for connecting to your higher self, an exercise to help you practice receiving a Domain new discovery, an exercise to help you to transverse myriad, an exercise to experience a Domain take on, like I've just spoken about today, an exercise to get help from Domain for something important to you. So a bit like what I was talking about just now with getting that whyt energy, okay? An exercise for you to experience the Domain testing ground, which is flipping awesome, because it's the Domain testing ground that can really show you unprecedented things, like for me, myself, and another Domain leader being shown, like how myriad energy can change the makeup, if you like, of mosquito larvae to stop the spread of malaria further down the line, if that's something that we're wanting to kind of really energize. So the Domain testing ground is a beautiful space as well. Exercise 9, flowing with Sali, which is beautiful, again, helping you to see Sali. Remember, it's that feeling of expansiveness rather than literal seeing. And then also an exercise to meet your Domain key non-physical guide. So we have touched on a couple of these, but we want to really look at these more as part of our Domain TV episodes moving forward. So if you don't yet have a copy of the book, you don't need one to do these exercises. Of course, there are energetics in the book that will really help you, but you can just listen in also and have a go, and we'll share as much energy as we can to kind of help you receive the most that you can in these exercises as well. But they're really, really beautiful. So we'll be looking at that over the coming weeks as well. So yes, I think that's everything that we want to share on today's episode of Domain TV. Next week we'll be coming live again at the same time, okay, 10 a.m. on our Facebook page. And we will also have Emily with us, who is one of the Domain leaders. So we're going to be speaking to her about why she loves Domain and the things she's doing with Domain also. So really looking forward to next week also. But in the meantime, we hope that you felt the uplift in watching this, whether it's live or on replay. And we just hope that you keep enjoying exploring Domain and all of the possibilities within it, and that kind of real enhancement that it can bring to your day-to-day, because as we always say, Domain is here to delight in. So we love you so, so, so much. Any questions at any point, do please just reach out. We're here for you, we love you, and we hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and we'll see you again, same time, same place, next Friday. Mwah. We love you.